lot of mutual respect between the two combatants. Diaz welcomes Lawler back to his feet.
Even though he looked less than stellar in his comeback fight against Robbie Lawler and had previously been out of the spotlight for years, Nick Diaz is still a name that rings bells in the world of mixed martial arts, in many ways thanks to his brother Nate.
It's Nick Diaz Army, motherfucker.
Without a doubt, Nate looks up to his older brother a lot and takes every opportunity he can to mention his name. The reason for that is because when they were growing up, following Nick's lead completely changed the trajectory of Nate's life, which was not going in the best direction at the time. It's a great story, but it's not what we'll be discussing today. For this video, I would like to focus on Nick's early life. Most people already know the basics. He grew up in Stockton, California, had a rough time in school, and found himself in Cesar Gracie's gym as a teenager, which eventually led him to MMA. But that's just surface level stuff. In reality, his story is much deeper than that. And in this video, we'll go over what his life was actually like leading up to his first professional MMA fight. Just a quick warning, there will be a mention of suicide, so if that's triggering for you, it's best that you avoid this video. And with that said, let's get into it. On several occasions, Nick described his early childhood in Stockton as a chaotic mess. In his own words, he asserts that his mom and dad taught him nothing but ABCs and that he was put on medication that got him made fun of by his classmates and even teachers.
That's f***ed up. You don't know what that does to someone. I wanted to beat up everyone in class, even the girls who would say things like, "What's wrong? You didn't take your medication?"
He was moved from school to school, having to get inter-district agreements when his mother would lose the house and he'd be forced to move in with his grandparents in Lodi, California.
I got moved up 3 or 4 grammar schools. They tried to put me on drugs, okay? Then the teacher's gonna go like, oh, sorry, he's acting up, he didn't take his medication. Then kids, next thing you know, kids are going like, okay, oh, what's wrong, you didn't take your medication today? And I'm like, fuck, what? You know what I mean? So
eventually, he ended up in the Lodi school district permanently, and that was a culture shock.
I had a hard time. I moved around schools a little bit. One school has got one type of people, and then another school has got another type of people. So I got to learn a lot about people, I think, on account of that. I don't know how much I learned in school, but I did get to learn a lot about different types of people.
Nick found it very difficult to fit in. He constantly felt on edge in Stockton, but felt like an outsider in Lodi. He passed the time skateboarding, but had a difficult time finding people that wanted to do it with him.
I wanted to skateboard so bad. Like when I was in 6th grade, I got a skateboard for Christmas. This is right when they started making boards with like the both sides. So yeah. I came in, I was already trying to skateboard when it was like the old school boards. And so I was really into it. And I just liked the whole, being like, kind of just being a skater. I wanted to be a skater. I love the way I see like, these couple of guys are out skateboarding. I'm like, what the fuck? Why don't I have friends like that? Like, I don't have any skateboard buddies. I have no skateboard. I lived in Stockton. There was nobody, you're not going to find anybody to hang out and go skate. They didn't have skate parks. I would go and try to like rent a video on like maybe how to skateboard or how to do tricks or something. There was nothing.
When he was 15, Nick discovered martial arts and began to train under Steve Heath at the Animal House gym before moving on to Cesar Gracie's team.
And then I started having real confidence when I was like, I'd come home, tell my friends, I'm like, yo, dude, I just tapped out this guy, he's like buff, I'm like, dude, I would choke your dad, you don't understand.
Nick became fanatical about training, but his situation in school was quickly deteriorating. He found himself in fights almost every single day, a lot of them due to his girlfriend, Stephanie.
He had a really hot girlfriend in high school, and I would get in fights over that. And then by the time I got into high school, I was moved around a lot of schools, so I was getting in fights in high school over that, and then I had bad attendance. And they put me on some half-day thing where they're like, okay, you're dangerous, you're on a half day, and we want you to make perfect attendance before you can come back to a full day, and we're gonna escort you from class to class. I actually went to go train to learn how to fight better, so when I it ended up in a fight over my girlfriend or over whatever kind
some kind of
whatever
nonsense.
gangster bullshit I had was going on back then. Like I
Yeah.
was gonna get the better of it.
Eventually, all of the fighting and the related absence from class led to Nick being deemed at risk for not completing his education, and he was placed into a continuation program. But that didn't work out either, as a friend named Bart was in the same class and ended up getting into a fight. The teacher was involved in breaking it up and insisted that neither Nick nor Bart come back. Nick tried homeschooling next, but quickly dropped that as well and decided to concentrate on the only thing that he seemed to be finding any success in at that point in his life: fighting.
I was so far behind, it was never going to happen, and by then I was training to be a pro fighter. My girlfriend knew it, but had started dating Bart to make me jealous. He had a gun, and neither of us wanted to piss him off because he would walk around with it.
Despite the relationship issues with Stephanie, Nick never strayed from his training and eventually was scheduled to compete in his first ever pro fight. But before he had a chance to do so, tragedy struck.
Before I had my first pro fight, July 5th, 2000, Bart had a party at his house. The night before, Stephanie had told me she loved me. After the party, I was gonna go back to her house with her brother. He was my best friend. Some friends weren't doing well and headed to my house, so I had to go. An hour later, I got a call from her mom saying, "Are you with Stephanie?" She came straight to my house to get me, took me up and down the frontage road on Highway 99 by my grandma's house next to her trailer park. There was a wreck on the freeway. I jumped the fence and saw only one car and ambulances. She had walked and killed herself on the freeway. The girl I loved more than anything had tried to kill herself for the third time and succeeded. She was going to go to college. She was an avid student and was doing everything I couldn't while living in a trailer park where everyone was doing dope. Meanwhile, I focused my whole high school years worried about what her and her friends would think if I lost a fight to her ex-boyfriend and football friends. There was no way I was going to go to school. I had no money, no car. I would have driven there and stopped her. After that, I was grown up. It was all over. I wasn't a kid anymore. I won my first fight in the first round with a choke, and all I could think about was her, just like when I was in school. I would run 7 miles and back to her grave just to promise her I would make it as a fighter like she knew, and had told me she knew and was proud of me.
As we all know, Nick went on to become one of the best and most intriguing fighters in MMA history. His past life in Stockton had always been a bit of an enigma, however, so I hope this video stripped some of the mystery for you and maybe even helped explain some of his past behavior and statements by adding a little bit of context. I would like to thank you all for watching, and I will see you soon.